Hi, it's Adolf again. Okay, so I stood at my point of power, where I wanted to stand, to have the people stand up, to systems, to the demons, start taking their power, to start using their voices and start taking action. Of course, I wasn't able to stand there and say, people, now it's time to stop the demons, to stop the systems, to stand up there inside you of your life force and live, So I had to speak system language for a moment, to find a loop around it in terms of having to find a way to set these human beings free, this life force essence within them that was being suppressed by these systems and the demons. So, firstly, I wanted to send a message. A message to these systems, these demons. Now, what I'd experienced as I was walking, in the world, seeing these demons and these mind systems inside human beings, God knows, you see a brain, a picture of a brain in anatomy pictures, in biology, which you learn in science, etc. But God knows, what I saw as a brain of a human being was far different to what is shown in the pictures. Of course, when you cut open a human being's mind, you fucking see the brain. But in terms of how it actually works, and how it governs the human beings as they move, walk, experience day by day, completely different story. So, what I had done was war. War time was the only way I could specifically gain power, and how I could specifically gather human beings who would listen and hear, but I knew one specific thing. I used specific words, I used specific actions, I'd use human being, and that goes on from when I'd spoken to some human beings in the world during that time. So in terms of my followers who stood with me as me, they're specific. Of course, what I had done in terms of my life was, I wasn't finished. God, what I had done was just the beginning. But unfortunately, there were those in the world who I thought, even though everyone is systems, I thought I had it. It's done. I'm going to do this. But then everything went twisted, swapped around, and fell right on his back. So in terms of what people refer to as the Illuminati, I suppose, something like that. I was involved with them as well during my life as Adolf Hitler, my rise to power, my infiltration into the world, and what I'd done. And they were my support, actually. I used them. And when they started realizing what it is that I was actually starting to do, they arranged appropriately for me to leave this earth, and so I did. And just because of that one point, it wasn't me that was really able to do it during that time, so at the moment here's someone else taking the responsibility for realizing all is one. But God, I missed many points, I didn't take everything into consideration while I was here. God, all I could see was human beings, systems, demons. And I knew how to use them. I knew how to use human beings as systems, as the demons. I knew how to. It was great. It was magnificent. It was simple. And of course the demons, God knows, enjoyed what I did. Go and figure that. Because to them, in terms of what I installed, was fear, anger, conflict, war. They feed off war. So, the reason I also started war was because I knew the demons enjoyed war. They thrived off it. So I'll use bait from that perspective to lock them in, remove those from Earth, and then the human beings who walk with me will follow me. And from there, once I have my followers, once I've taken over a certain section of my platform on which I will stand as countries, from there start infiltrating the world. So I had a huge, huge plan for the world. To set human beings free from these systems, these demons inside them, so that life forces who they are, the deep inside, is able to stand up, and that's what I wanted to do. And I knew that there's one simple thing that drives human beings, that drives them to action, that drives them to madness, that drives them to fall, that drives them to break, that drives them to listen, that drives them to see, that compels them to do what they wouldn't believe themselves to do. And that one thing is fear. And I studied that extensively. And that fear is exactly the same thing that demons feed off, but it's the one fear that has become that which is from which you're able to use to direct human beings as where you want them to, without them even knowing it. So what else did I study? With these people, now what is referred to as the Illuminati, I wouldn't refer to them as the Illuminati. That's just like a real pretty name for a group of beings who human beings perceive are in power and control of the world. So, in terms of them, I started learning how it is that they're controlling human beings. How is it that they're directing even a country to a specific direction with words, sound, behavior, mannerism, symbols, etc. So that's where I got the idea of the swastika and the whole regime. So I'll continue in my next interview. Thanks.